Hi guys, welcome back to the Premier Hotspur TV. It's your man Simon, North of England's biggest Spurs fan. Yes, tonight guys, we are back again with another match preview. And this time guys, it is Leicester versus Tottenham. Let's see if we can get it back on. Yes, guys, welcome back to the Premier Hotspur TV. It's your man Simon, North of England's biggest Spurs fan. Yes, guys, we are back again with another match preview tonight. Leicester versus Tottenham. Let's see if we can get this one going tomorrow, guys. It got called off last time. Leicester struggling with players again. So let's hope they don't go to the Premier League this time and get it postponed. I'm joined tonight, guys, by a special guest, Tottenham fan, Reds. You may have seen him. He's all over other YouTube channels. Evening, Reds. Thanks for giving up your time. And how's it going?
Very well. Thanks for having me, Simon. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you very much, Reds. Reds, let's get into it. What this here? First thing, will this game go ahead tomorrow? We've seen games getting postponed. Not only Tottenham. I think at the minute people are using this to their advantage. At the minute, is this COVID going a bit crazy at the minute in the football world, Rez?
I think it's the last gasps of it. I don't think they're going to be able to do this for much longer, because the fact of the matter is that infections are dropping. It's not really sort of coming back as anything all that serious, seemingly. That's just my own personal view. And I think that a lot of clubs have seen what the scum did this weekend and have realized that there's only so far that you can push people before there's a bit of a backlash. And I know for a fact that, ourselves and also Burnley have got a major fixture congestion problem coming up, and it's just not sustainable. And I honestly believe that the league is going to start saying no if anyone tries to go back and say, we've got COVID cases. Arsenal, from what I understand, they Kolasinac has left by mutual agreement today.
Absolutely wild.
So it's like, okay, so you've got COVID cases and yet you've let one of your first teamers go by mutual consent, have you? That's how serious your problem is? Okay, I understand.
Absolutely. So, yeah. And Mari as well. Mari's gone as well, apparently, from Arsenal.
That's right, yes.
This is just crazy. Just a couple of days after postponing the game against us, and they're loaning two players out, and it's just, I thought they're struggling for players, and now they want this the game on Thursday against Liverpool postponed as well, but apparently the league's not having it.
No way.
No way.
Exactly. And no, absolutely no. You can't do it. When you buy a player, you know what his nationality is. You know if there's a chance that he's going to be called up to, one of the AFCON squads. That's part of squad management. It's your responsibility. The same with injuries. Of all the clubs who gained from an injury crisis at Spurs, it was Arsenal, because if you remember, I think it was 12 years ago now, we had most of our squad come down with food poisoning, and the Premier League turned around and said, no, you still have to play, even though we had players on the field who were actually sick. We didn't beat West Ham. They got fourth and got Champions League. I'm sorry, no. If you're injured, that's your problem. You got players away on AFCON duty, that's your problem. You got players
Absolutely.
with COVID. That's your problem, right? As far as I'm concerned, they test them every day. If they're negative, they're not injured. COVID is just like if a player's got flu, he's injured. If he's got COVID, he's injured.
I totally agree, Rez. I mean, it's crazy at the minute because if you look at the Wolves squad at the weekend, they fielded 2 15-year-olds, 1 16-year-old just to get the game on. Leeds, yesterday against West Ham, they had like 9, 10 players out. Still got a result against West Ham. Fantastic result for Leeds. But they still didn't moan. They got on with it. And I think it's a farce from Arsenal. I really do. Because I think they were just running scared because they knew probably they were going to get end of a beating against us.
I mean, the possibility existed, but do you know what? I mean, we're quite depleted as well. We've got problems. Sonny's out. Apparently, Kane's now out. The noises that I'm hearing, he's the COVID case that we've got allegedly.
No, he trained today.
Is it not? Oh, okay, today. Cool. Oh, right. Oh, okay, good. I thought it was Kane. That's why if you see my 11 that I sent you like 4 minutes ago, I didn't put Kane in there because I thought he was still injured. So that's how far behind I am.
Right.
But yeah.
Did you send me him? Oh, I just seen it. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No problem. Not a problem. Because I literally didn't see that text. I just put one together. Yeah. So Kane, no, that's fine, Rez. Kane is fit. The pictures are out there and that he's trained today. So Romero's back in training as well. So
well, yeah, I knew he was back in training, but I didn't know if he was back in full training yet. That's why I left him out as well.
Yeah. So basically, you're just the same as me and Matt on the channel as well. That it's total farce. People just calling it off now. They're taking it as advantage now, using it for international duties and injuries and suspensions. It's just crazy what's going on in this game in a minute. Absolutely.
You know what? This is the thing that I'll say is that if they want to keep going down this path, then the league has to set up some kind of independent verification process as well.
Absolutely.
And more specific rules as to how many qualifies as COVID. I mean, one would never be enough. One would never be enough. You know, they haven't shut their training ground. If they haven't shut their training ground, they can play. That's the long and the short of it. You know, if you want to stop the spread of infection, shut your training ground, which they haven't done.
Yeah.
So
it baffles me. It absolutely does baffle me. Let's get into some comments there. We've just got a couple of comments there. Paul says, "Hi lads. Wow, Matt must be stressed about the transfer window. He's a club."
No. No, this isn't Matt. This is Rez, and this is stress. It's just many years of stress. It's permanent now.
Absolutely. Matt had to do extra hours at work today, so he couldn't be with us tonight, Paul. But thanks for coming on, pal. What's the weather like in Florida? We always ask you, Paul, what's it like over there? Darren says clubs cannot blame for submitting requests. It's for the Premier League to have follow proper rules.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's certainly true, but it's like there's a point where a request itself is taking liberties, right? Yeah. Arsenal's request to the league was to be called off for COVID reasons, and they only had one. If a club goes to the league and says we've got too many injuries, the league will turn around and say, what about your under 23s? You know, have you got enough there? And they did. So you're right. Yeah, absolutely. The Premier League does need to have and follow those proper rules. But at the same time, there's a little bit of piss taking going on as well when you've only got one COVID case and you go to the league and say, we can't play.
It is absolutely. Simon's in it. Thanks for coming in, Simon. Not much to fear for Early's. Not much to fear for Early's side going up front in this match. I don't know whether to expect Kane or Lane or Hardy. All right, or Hardy. I think the battle will be the dugout between the dwarves, Conte and Rodgers.
Rodgers isn't a dwarf. He's quite tall.
He's He's taller than Conte.
Yeah, well, everyone's taller than Conte. I mean, but
and Paul says, truthfully, it's cold today. It was only 5 degrees this morning. Wow. I would have thought it'd been a bit hotter than that, Paul. He always winds us up, Reds, Paul. Always winds us up the nice weather he's got out there.
Right, okay. He's probably basking on some Miami beach somewhere, aren't you, Paul? I know what you're up to.
Absolutely. Let's get into some team news here. Rez, Leicester, they got an almighty injury list
Wow.
there.
You'd have thought they'd gone to the league and said they couldn't play.
I'm surprised. I am surprised that they haven't gone to the league. I mean, I don't think the only thing is I don't think they've got no COVID cases. That's the problem. So they can't go to the league without saying, "Well, we want this off." Do you know what I mean? So I don't think there's no COVID cases. These were all injuries. So and the last 3 are all questionable as well. So, Rez,
that's
a massive list, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's difficult to see them be able to field anything close to full strength, really. That's quite serious, I'd say. That does give us a decent chance, although we are away, but we do know that Kane likes to score against Leicester. He might get his shooting boots on tomorrow, you know.
So Sonny, but Sonny's not there tomorrow, so that's massive for us. But with Vardy not being there, and indeed he's a massive bit of this team.
And Neto to back up Vardy. Yeah, no, that's right. That's
absolutely. And Evans has been quite strong at the back for him as well. Castanja's been a good signing for him as well. Somora in the midfield there. So if all these players are out tomorrow, that's a huge blow for Leicester, and that's advantage Tottenham. Me personally,
that is. I think so. I mean, the problem is that we've reverted. We've lost the Conte bounce, I think, now, and so it's going to be a struggle. I'm not going to say we're going to lose or anything like that, but it'll be a struggle, I think. And this all leads into the sort of wider problems that we've got. So I reckon we can get a result, but it's not going to be easy, and I don't think it's going to be particularly pretty either.
Absolutely. We got my brother. How's it going, Ad? Thanks for coming in, pal. Derek. Evening, Simon and Rez. Derek, thanks for coming in, pal. And Simon says, Paul's the channel weatherman. He is, Simon. He always tells us about the weather out in Florida. And we go on to the Tottenham news. Rez, Tottenham, Dyer and Son both out. Region and Romero both questionable. Romero, I've been told now that he's back in training, but it's looking like February time now. Until he's back into the first team. Regs trained very well today. It looks like he is going to play tomorrow. Hopefully, have some sort of play in the team tomorrow. So that's a good. So that's good for us. Rez, Dyer, Son.
Well, this is it. I mean, who would have thought that we would be in a position where Dyer is a miss for us? He's played very well this season.
Very well. Very well.
So it is a miss. And if Romero doesn't play, then it looks like Davis, Sanchez, and probably Tanganga, I would say, unless Roden gets run out. You never know. It's still shaky. And Conte builds everything that Conte will be built on a strong defense, which we won't have. At the same time, see, this is the thing. It's almost like both teams will be set up to counter. So it will be a case of who makes the most mistakes, I think.
Absolutely.
And this is where it gets a bit problematic, even if Dyer was playing, if we're being honest, because every single one of our central defenders, even Romero to an extent, even though he's only been here a little while, shows that they're capable of doing something that isn't helpful. Let's put it that way. Tanganga's last couple of games were really, really awful for him. He really did not do very well the last couple of games. And then Sanchez, we know, has always got an error in him. Davis has been very good under Conte. He's
very
not really.
He's very reliable, Rez.
Yeah, he's not really. Yeah, absolutely. He's not done anything really wrong, has he?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
he's not very. His ability's not great going forward from that, but he does the basics right, and that's the thing with him. He does them basic right. He gets Conte's told him to. How to defend properly. And he's doing it very well. Seriously, I'm surprised of how well Ben's coming in.
I've never had a go at Davis anywhere or with anyone, purely because when he plays, he puts everything on the pitch, and that's all you can really ask. You can't ask a player to be better than they are. They are just as good as they are. What you can demand is that they work, and he works. So for me, I don't have an issue with players who aren't very good. I have a problem with players who don't work, which is why the player that I really don't like is Ndombele, because he just doesn't commit. He just sort of drifts around too much for my liking. Doesn't seem to be involved in trying to win the game, and doesn't put it all on the pitch. And that's why I detract, and that's why I don't attack Davis. Because he always gives his all.
Absolutely, at 100%. Brighton just scored here, Reds. It's 1-1 against Chelsea.
Oh, is it 1-1?
Oh, that's a great.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Happy days. So I can't argue with that. Seriously, and it is funny. And as you said that, Reds, it's funny how we are saying how we're going to miss Dyer. It's craziness, because last season would have said no chance. We're not missing Dyer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the tide turned. And the question here is from Simon here, Rez, do you think we need to strengthen at the back this window? He said, I feel the like building at the foundation with a Argentine at the back is like building a city on a tsunami hotspot.
I think Romero is not a bad buy, if we're being honest, but it's nowhere near enough.
No.
Let's say, just hypothetically, that Dyer somehow does turn into a decent centre-back. That means that our sort of first choice will be Davis, Dyer and Romero. What if one of them gets injured? And again, I'm not advocating that as the sort of ideal centre-back trio, but just as an argument. What if one of them gets injured? We'll have Sanchez again, who he might do well as well, but it's not enough. We need at least one real top quality centre-back. One that's appropriate to a club of our size, which Dyer isn't yet. He might be, he might not be. Sanchez isn't.
He wants to derive, isn't it? He wants to derive from Inter Milan. That's a proper centre back.
That's who we need. Someone like that, exactly. And not just a centre back.
Someone's been there and won trophies. I think a bit of experience at the back there, like a winning mentality, Rez. And
who wants to test themselves on the biggest stage, but is big enough to say, I deserve a chance to show myself on the top. I've done it everywhere else, or I've done it elsewhere. The Italian league is good, but it's still not the Premier League. He's proven himself there, and the Premier League would be a step up for him, and it would be an appropriate signing for Spurs to make. We are a club that is big enough to make a signing of that nature. And so that's the sort of thing that we do. So I do believe my answer to that is yes, we do, but not because of Romero, purely because we need at least two top quality centre backs. And let's say I think Romero can be one of them.
Me personally, I'm saying Romero and two, and Dyer could be some sort of backup. Dyer has done well, but if we want to go where we want to go, start winning trophies, big trophies, competing again, we definitely need Romero +2 and have a Dyers of, because we can't, as you said, Rez, we can't keep relying back on Sanchez and the Tangangas, the Rodons. These guys have never winning us big trophies and taking us forward. And
well, with Tanganga and Rodon, I won't say they won't win us big trophies now because they're very young. Tanganga needs a loan. Tanganga should not be in the first squad. He should, or in our first squad, he should be out there in someone else's first squad, gaining experience somewhere like the Championship.
It sounds like Ace Milan wanted for the end of the season, so that could be a good move for Tanganga.
That's a good move, yeah.
Very
but you
move.
know what should happen with the likes of Tanganga and Rodon should basically be what happened with Skip last season. He was loaned out to Norwich. He was the linchpin of their team. He played every league game bar one, and now he's come back and look at him. You know, he fits. Yeah, he fits into our
fantastic Skippy this year, and as you said, and that's what comes off it when you do go out and have a loan at another club for a season, get gained underneath your belt, and
that's key for someone like Tanganga. For Tanganga, that is absolutely vital right now. At this stage in his development, he needs to be playing every week. If he's not playing every week, that is time that is just being wasted. Every game that he doesn't play, that's his development that takes a step back, right? Our entire recruitment system and the way in which we develop players is broken. It's completely broken. We're not developing players properly. We're not, you know, we bring in these young players and think that they are good enough to cut it at Spurs, and they're not yet. You know, Rodon was never going to be a first choice for us. So why buy him?
Absolutely.
Why buy him at all if you're not going to develop it?
I totally agree. And the thing is, he's not fancied, is he? Under Jose, didn't fancy under Nuno.
Yeah.
Now under Conte, he's not fancied. So there must be something in there that these three managers are not seeing nothing of. You know what I mean? Right. Derek just saying 1-1. We already know. Thanks, Derek.
Yep.
Simon says Davis and Dyer have the right attitude. They don't turn up in the training grumpy, demanding to start games. They know with Conte, they will. He'll be fair to them and give them thanks and praise. Absolutely, I can see where you're coming from there, Simon. They seem like they're kind of people who, as I said, turn up with no egos. Turn up, train hard, listen to Conte, and just get on with it. You know what I mean? And that's what we need, Rez, isn't it? Around the training ground and the club. Just need players like that. You know what I mean?
But we need those that will play for the shirt. You know, will play for the badge. Davis does, Dyer does. You know.
Yeah, and Skippy as well. He's young, but he's
yeah. No, we've got one or two. We've got some, but unfortunately, we've got others in there who it's not that they don't necessarily play for the badge itself. They don't play for anyone but themselves, and it would be true wherever they went that they would only play for themselves. You know, Tongi seems one of them. Unfortunately, it seems Delhi seems to be one of them. You know, so it's one of the things that one of the challenges that Conte's done is to actually bring those that want to play for the badge together into a cohesive unit, which we haven't had for a while. I feel, and I think that's one of the challenges he's got. But we still need personnel. It's not just what we've got is good enough. It really isn't. It really isn't.
Rez, that's probably why we've seen Tanguy getting trained on his own. Conte's probably doesn't want that around the first team. You know what I mean? Good. Attitude problems, and it's just you're just training your own. Then if you don't want to come in and play and give your all, and it's brilliant, isn't it? It's brilliant. Yeah, because we don't need that. Reds, Derek's asking, is Romero and Lo Celso going to international jury? I expect so. International jury coming up.
Lo Celso too. Romero. It's
coming up at the end of the month, isn't it? Reds, international jury.
Yes.
So Romero may not be risked. Yeah, Tottenham may not let him go. Yeah.
It's slightly problematic because it's sort of like, I think the default position is if your country asks for you, we'll let you go. So it depends on what Argentina do. If Argentina turn around and ask for him, there is a possibility we'll turn around, because if he's in full training, then there's no basis for us to say no. If he was still on sort of light training, not yet sort of fully fit to train with the first team again, there might have been a basis for us to turn around and say, no, he's not ready yet. He's still injured. But I don't know if they'll ask for him or not, which will be a problem.
Yeah,
I mean, you can imagine what will happen. He'll go away and get injured again. Knowing
and
our luck.
the Hazard window will be gone and we have no replacement. You know what I mean? And that's just,
exactly,
Spursy. Yeah. That's just absolute Spursy, that will be.
It really would.
How do you expect us and Conte to set up tomorrow? Especially with the injuries, Leicester. Do you reckon he'll go at it, or as you said earlier, or do you reckon he'll just play on the counter?
No, he'll play his usual style. He never changes. He never changes his sort of basic approach particularly much. Most managers don't, to be honest. So it will probably be. I mean, you see, when we say that Conte plays counter, the issue is that he plays counter quite high up the pitch. It's almost like halfway between, full on defensive counter and the gegenpress, which is sort of a countering philosophy as well. But it's sort of halfway there, and you can see that when you push it, because he likes his wing backs to be really high up the pitch. So really almost high, like you almost got a front five. Almost, it's not quite that high. So it does depend on, if Leicester have got a lack of experience, they might not get the opportunity to counter. So we might end up with more of the possession, mainly because they just won't be able to get it off us. So I think he'll play what he's been playing, which is sort of 3-4-3, and it will. Yeah, I can see us having our fair share of the ball. Whether or not we'll be able to do anything with it is the key question, because again, that creativity problem we've got, that lack of a link.
It's a massive problem, Rez, isn't it? The creative player, we haven't really replaced it properly, have we? Since like Eriksen's gone. I mean, like the Modric days we had. We had some Dembele. Well, we had some great creativity, but nothing at the minute. We literally nothing in that midfield. That's why I think he plays the two older midfielders, which I'm not a very big fan of. I think that holds us back playing this attacking football. But he has to at the minute. I don't think he's got no options to play that way, Rez.
You know what? Winks has been doing a bit better recently. And so there, some people have been calling for Winks to play alongside Skip. So you've got a bit more thrust, but Winks is still, we don't know really what type of central midfielder he really is. A lot of people say he's a defensive midfielder. A lot of people say he's a classic box-to-box midfielder, and he's neither of those things really.
It's not a sort of player that's going to take us forward, Rez, is it?
Not right now. No, absolutely. No. But he's more progressive. He's more progressive than Højbjerg, and Højbjerg needs a rest, I think. Højbjerg's burnt out.
I definitely agree with that. He's definitely played a lot of games, Rez, Pierre. And I've been calling for, I want to see Skip and Winks. And as I said, because both of them, they do like playing the ball forward, trying to get forward as well, where Pierre normally just sits in there, breaks up play well.
He's played for Spurs. He's an out-and-out destroyer. That's all he is. He's there to break up play and to shield the defense. And
that's why he wants to bring Kessie, and that's what we've been talking about Kessie, and to me, I think him and Pierre is probably on the same level. Me personally, I can't see where Kessie will come in and improve us massively, Rez, going forward. Because I've seen Kessie play a lot of. He's another player like he just picks up, plays very good, passes the ball out. He's not like a box-to-box player. We're looking for a creative player, and Kessie's not the answer to me. But people think he is. But what's your thing on Kessie?
I don't think Kessié is the priority for us if we want to bring him in. If we, let's say we're interested in him for whatever reason, I don't believe he's the priority, because I would imagine he is just another sort of, you know, defensive midfielder that we're bringing in because we need another one. The priority for us would be a player like Brozovic, who is there to do what we don't have at the moment, which is to be that creative midfielder, and one who can link the attack and the defense, or can link via his midfield partner to the attack and the defense. Or, you know, the name that I saw recently that other people have said wouldn't be bad is Guimaraes from Lyon. Again,
that's a name ringing around, but I haven't watched him a lot. I can't really say what this guy's
I've not
like.
seen a lot of him. I've not seen a lot of him, but apparently he's similar. He's in the similar mold to Brozovic, someone who does the ball, what's it called, box to box and creative thing. Because you've only got two midfielders, so you've got three midfield duties to complete to cover: your destroyer, your ball carrier, and your creator. Right. So we've got two destroyers, one of whom could be a good box to box midfielder in Skip, but you still don't have that creator. Whereas Guimaraes is the other way. He's a creator and a box to box player. So he can complement our destroyer stroke ball carrier one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the priority. It's not necessarily, I mean, Kessié might be nice and it'll be fresh blood, which we do need in any shape or form, just something to shake up the squad a little.
I just think it's like a name. It's just like, do you know, one of them people like, do you know when you go out to like a shop, Rez, and you go for the night train, it's a brand, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or you go, I think that's what Kessié is in a minute. Everyone's just on everyone's lips in a minute. And I don't think we're literally looking at him properly. Like, I don't see much in him to say he's one who can change things at Tottenham.
I think because we've been starved of some real decent signings. Yeah. When a relatively big name like that comes along, as fans, all of us, we all start to sort of focus on it. The other one is Vlahovic. You know, I'm not saying Vlahovic is a bad player, and I'm not saying we shouldn't get him, but what I'm saying is that everyone seems obsessed with him at the moment because he's sort of ripping it up for Fiorentina. He's only 21. You know, we need a striker, and he's expensive, and so we're focusing on him. And I think Kessié falls into that. The other one that's been doing the name is the Juventus one. I think he is McKennie. Is that the other one?
McKennie. Yeah. That's another one. I'm not.
Yeah.
Me, I'd rather go with a Dybala if we can get someone like him. I think he'll be a good player.
Yeah, I mean, again, is another big name, you know, that we're sort of linked, which we should be. We have to be. You know, we are the 8th richest club in the world, right? Dybala is not an outlandish suggestion for a club of our size.
Absolutely.
But I think what happens is that because we've been starved, when a big name comes along, we fixate on it. But I would gladly not sign a big name if it is the perfect player that Conte feels is right for his system. So if it was someone like Guimaraes, for instance, from Lyon, who I'd never really heard of until recently, if that's the player we get, but that's the player that Conte wants,
I'll go with it.
Yeah. You know, not that I think we're going to be getting anyone, if we're being honest, but that's a different debate.
Tony says, hi guys, how's it going, Tony? Thanks for coming in, pal. Heard a rumor of a Spurs blog earlier was signing Vlahovic in the summer. Would be hell of a signing. How much truth do you reckon is behind this? Sorry to go off subject. It's not a problem, Tony. Reds?
If I was to read that myself, Tony, I would be skeptical. I wouldn't believe it, because I don't believe that we've got people at the club who are willing to do something like that. Right? I'm picking my words carefully here. Vlahovic is likely to be expensive. Allegedly, he wants 300,000 a week, which we're not going to pay him, even if we did want to bring him in. And yeah, in the summer will be too late, because by that point, this summer, there's going to be a lot of demand for strikers, because two of the biggest striker names are on the move this summer. You've got Mbappe, who's going to be going to Real Madrid, and you've got Haaland, who's going to be going to Man City. And then you've got other clubs like Man United are looking for a striker. Will probably be looking for a striker. Who knows? PSG might want to replace Mbappe with a striker. The striker market, I reckon, is going to be quite hot this summer. So Vlahovic is going to have his pick of a number of different clubs. If we don't get him beforehand, if we don't sign him either now or put him on a pre-contract for the summer, we're not getting him, I don't think.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from there, Rez. The money is talking at the minute. These agents is driving this deal. They're the ones who's driving this deal, Rez, who want the money for themselves as well.
Yeah.
You're talking. Apparently, they're talking of like the whole package that comes to about 150 million quid for Vlahovic. As you said, £300,000. Tottenham are not doing it at the minute. You know what I mean?
Because they'd have to then, they'd probably, according to rumours, because there's never been confirmed, but according to rumours, Kane's contract demands that he's the highest paid player. So they'd have to up his wages to match.
Absolutely. Or they'll have to sell Kane to do something. You know what I mean? So, but last night I did watch Fiorentina.
Spurs have never sold their best striker and then brought in, a player like Fraser Campbell for them, have they?
Yeah, when Berbatov, Jesus Christ, I remember that one, Rez.
That's what would happen if we sold Kane. Believe me. We'd probably, do you know what happened? We'd probably re-sign Llorente.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's going backwards now, isn't it?
Because that was the last second striker we had.
I don't think that, Rez. The Fiorentina game. Did you watch the Fiorentina game last night?
I didn't know. No.
Oh, Vlahovic's goal, mate. Wow.
Was it good?
The guy is an absolute monster of a player. He really is. But I said he's going to be in demand. And some say it's the reason.
The one thing I'll say.
Go on, mate.
The one thing I'll say is that, again, I'm not saying no, we shouldn't be. I'm not saying we shouldn't be going for someone like Vlahovic, but bear in mind he's still only 21. He's still only 21, right? Delhi was ripping it up at that age as well. Yeah.
And look where he is now.
Look where he is now. You never know. You can never tell. But I mean, listen, I'd still love him. If someone said, "Do you want him?" I'd be like, "Yes, please. Yes, yes, I do. Yes, yes."
Absolutely. It's the reason why I take Højbjerg over Winks is simply because Winks might have the ability to go forwards and he might be able to get a tackle in, but he isn't a specialist in either trade.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd agree with what Simon says there. I think Winks' development just hasn't been handled particularly well. He doesn't seem to have a position really that is that he's a specialist or good at something, enough to be considered right. Because you're good at that, that's where your sort of natural position should be. He's sort of a bit, we don't know. But yeah, I agree.
Simon says again, the best combo we had in my mind was Modric and Parker. Yep. Parker could sweep the ball and had the ability to find Modric on the floor, and then Modric has just too much to live with the opposition defense. Absolutely, I love absolutely fantastic. Yeah, bring back them boys there. Lightly 64. Hi boys and Rez, how's it going, pal? Thank you very much for coming in. Mate. Rez, with Leicester injuries, do you think they pose a threat still with the players they have available? They still got because people think they've got all them players out, but they still got
some
Madison, good players still.
They've still got They've still got decent
Barnes,
players. Yeah, absolutely.
Tinnemans.
Yeah. They do pose a threat. Yeah, absolutely, they do. They might not be sort of doing as well as they were doing last season, but that's, I think, is the Rodgers effect. But Rodgers' team don't just sort of like become completely nullified in his third season. They become a bit inconsistent. We saw it with Liverpool. We didn't get the chance to see it with Celtic, but I'm sure it would have happened. I just think they're still dangerous. The only issue they've got, really, or the sort of biggest issue they've got, is that they're fairly toothless, because they need someone up front to sort of put away the chances that the likes of Madison Tielemans and Harvey Barnes might be able to create for them. And it's a case of being able to win the ball back in the right areas to be able to actually do something with it. But they'll still be dangerous. We're still away, so they've got home advantage, and they are one of the better sides in the league. So I'm taking nothing for granted tomorrow. A draw I'll be happy with, and a win, obviously, I'll be ecstatic.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think they can pose a threat still. I really can. They've got some fantastic players still. I mean, we can't go in that game thinking, it's going to be a pushover this one, because we're struggling ourselves. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
And we still got.
If they go in there thinking it'll be a walkover, they'll get a beating. They'll get a real lesson. They can't be complacent.
Absolutely.
Got to be on it, sharp right from the beginning.
And with all this rest as well, we've had Rez. We haven't played, have we, for a while now? Since the Chelsea game, and Leicester as well. They had their match against postponed against Burnley. So both teams have had a rest. Leicester's got the more injuries, and I don't think Conte will let these players go in tomorrow, Rez, thinking it's going to be a roller. He'll have them drilled.
Well, you say that, but you saw the way we played against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge in the first half. I mean, this squad has the capability to, in the face of monumental motivation, to still try and phone it in.
Yeah. Absolutely.
This is the biggest worry for me. This is what terrifies me, is that Conte will suffer what all our other managers of recent times have suffered, of teams that a squad that just will not perform or will not work. If that happens, he'll suffer the same fate, and we'll be back to square one.
Right, Reds, I'm going to share the lineup on the screen. So
you can change Dele for Kane in my lineup because I thought he was injured. Well, I thought he had COVID.
This is the team I chose quickly, Rez, before I just saw yours when we come on the screen. We've got Hugo Lloris in goal, Davis Sanchez and Tanganga gone with Reguilon, Emerson, Højbjerg, Skip, and I've gone with Brian Hill out left. Moore and Kane.
I can see that as a possibility. Yeah.
So, what was the team you went with, Rez? Was it
the only
Lloris,
difference?
Sanchez, Davis?
The only differences would be Cess on the left and Bergwijn instead of Hill.
Right. The reason being, Rez, is because Bergwijn apparently is quite close to this transfer to Ajax. That's why I don't think he's involved.
I don't see Hill as a starter. That's the only thing.
Yeah, that's the problem, and that's the options. I think he's only got in a minute, unless we play Cess there, unless Reds we unless we go with Cess. The options are very bare with Conte at the minute. Yeah. But I was listening to Fabrizio Romano. Okay, it's not guaranteed what Fabrizio said, but I heard what he said the other day. That he said this week is an important week for Tottenham. That the likes of Ndombele, Dele and Bergwijn are literally going out on loan. He thinks this is what he's saying. So that's why I think, because I think Bergwijn is quite close to going to Ajax. I think that's why I did put. I don't think he's going to be involved in the squad. Tungi's going to be hard to be pushed out of the team. Really, it's going to be with his wages he's on. And Delhi, I think Delhi needs to go just for himself, me personally. I think I've given him too many chances. I keep backing him. And I can't no more with Delhi. It just doesn't seem he wants it no more. He doesn't seem like he's liking football in general, Rez. He just he's happy enough to sit on that bench, laughing and joking with his other teammates with things over his head and not taking it serious I think he needs to move that way. Personally.
I agree with your analysis of all of those players. Do you know how many I reckon we'll get rid of in the next 13 days? 0.
Wow.
We're not going to.
Wow.
Tongi has got nowhere to go. Right? Who's going to want him? And who's he going to want? And if you were to draw a Venn diagram of who he wants and who would want him, the two don't line up anywhere. Right?
Apparently one team is Juventus, and we're looking to swap with that Arthur Melo.
Yeah, but why would Juventus want him?
Yeah.
Why would they want him?
But these are the stories that was coming out.
Yeah,
apparently
of course. Yeah. But I just don't see it. Yeah. I honestly don't see
going.
I don't see it.
The ones that see going is Bergwijn.
I mean, Bergwijn, yeah, I can sort of see it, but allegedly we had a bid of 15 million euros. We turned it down. And it's like, if this guy is surplus to is 18 or whatever, however much it was, it's like, if this guy
you're right. They come with 15 million euros, and then they come with 18 million euros, and they're still not enough.
And we turned it down. Right. But the point is that if he's surplus to requirements, why are you pissing around with the price? Right? Get rid of him and bring in someone that you do want. Right? One of the problems that we've got with the squad is the deadwood that we want to move. Right? Then get rid of him. Get rid of him. If you don't want him, and someone's coming with a halfway decent bid, do it, right? But the fact is that Daniel Levy is known for playing these games and pissing people off, and so Ajax, I can quite easily see them saying, you know what, fuck it, we'll go for someone else. Sorry if I'm swearing. We'll get someone else. Okay, there are plenty of other Steven Bergwijn-esque players that we can go where we're not having to be dragged over broken glass by the Spurs chairman to acquire, right? Tongi wants to go to Bayern Munich and Real Madrid and Barcelona and that lot, who would look at him and go,
laugh, yeah.
And all the clubs like Everton and Aston Villa and that lot who might want to take a punt on him he'll look at them and go, right? And so he's not going anywhere. Delhi may be if someone comes in from like a Newcastle or something like that who pays ridiculous money for a player who might not necessarily want to play football anymore. I honestly don't see us changing our squad at all this transfer window. I really don't.
Wow. I think, Reds, I think we will get one or two. I really do. I think the Adama Traore, I know everyone said, oh my God, here we go, we're pushing again. I think that deal will get over the line eventually. I think eventually. Apparently, they've had another meeting, Parisic and Conte, with Daniel Levy, and he's approved. Apparently,
joy! What joy! So over a £20 million player, they have to have another meeting. Villa
apparently
Villa have signed Luca Digne, Felipe Coutinho, and now this Swedish goalkeeper. I think it's a guy called Olsen. I wonder how many meetings Steven Gerrard had with their board before those transfers went through. I would guess
Actually,
one.
we'll come back to that in a minute, Rez. We'll come back to that in a minute. Let me just get these comments. We'll come back to that, actually.
Okay.
Richard says, hi, lads. How's it going, Richard? Thanks for coming about 18th of January and still no business off the Chuckle Brothers. Richard says as well, watching Brighton tonight, they play football the right way, unlike us. They're playing some great stuff, actually. Lightly, 64 says Regnon has an injury. He's back in full training. He looked all right. What I saw of the video today, he's running well, and maybe he may not be ready then for tomorrow, or maybe as a sub, but hopefully he's quite close. Richard says we have a poor squad. When you see that team sheet, absolutely, I totally agree. Dele Alli is non-concerned over these dreadlocks. Yeah, absolutely. And Richard says, watched Vlahovic last night. He looks the real deal, and he's on his way to pull a Sicky FC. No, he's not going to Arsenal. Not a chance, Richard. That is 100% thing that his agent wants it, because apparently they're offering massive money.
They'll pay him money.
Apparently, the player himself doesn't want the move to Arsenal. Simon says, agree with Reds. We'll be very lucky. We ain't just trying to sell dead donkeys here. We're trying to sell dead horses, but in the carts of the horsemen of the apocalypse. Oh, he's absolutely fantastic.
Very well put.
Reds, we'll get back to what we was talking about in a minute. Let's get quickly on the predictions for tomorrow. What are you going with, Rez? Go on, you go with your prediction first. What you think is going to happen?
Are you kidding? Never get a prediction off me. I talk bollocks. Let's say, I mean, this is testament to how deluded Spurs fans are, because we are so optimistic. I'm going to go 3-1 Spurs. There you go.
Oh dear! Do you know what? I've been saying it all day. I've been thinking about it actually all day. I mean, 1-1. I'm going 1-1. Me, I can't see it. Yeah. I can see just a tight game here, even though with all the injuries and with the bad we've got at the minute as well. Do you know what I mean? Because Son, without Son, mate, he's the one who takes us forward. Me personally.
But I've got to listen. I've got to be deluded, Si. I've got to be deluded. You know.
No. Yes, I mean, I love it. That 3-1, I'll take that now. I'll take that.
Lose 3-1 now.
Absolutely. So yeah, we just go back, Rez. What you're saying about Aston Villa there. Do you know what was so refreshing the other day? I don't know if you saw the interview with Aston Villa's chairman, and it was so good. They interviewed him after the game, and they asked him about Coutinho. Was it a Gerrard signing? And if Gerrard wasn't here, would Coutinho come? And he come out with the whole truth. You know what I mean? And it sounds like they Liverpool. He said before Gerrard come in, it would be a no-no. I mean, when Gerrard's come in, apparently it took him 2 days to assess the squad. Yeah. Right? He's gone straight to the chairman and Coutinho. He's gone straight with that name, Coutinho. Get him in. Yeah. He'll change us going forward. And Lucadina, he said that was another one. I mean, and it's so good how he come across, how they back them, how they back their manager. And again today they've got the Sheffield United keeper in as well. I mean, and I think Coutinho. Would he worked at Tottenham, Rez? Is that sort of type player? Do you think they're coming to Tottenham?
It's not. Do you know what? It's not. I said this on another stream recently. I said it's not about the name of the player, because look, let's say for instance, just hypothetically, let's say Coutinho was the exact player we needed, right? But for whatever reason, we couldn't get him. There would be enough players out there that if we couldn't get Coutinho, we could get someone else. Now, I know that a lot of people complain about us sort of not getting our top target, and that's valid, and I agree with it, and I 100% agree that, you know, we don't do well enough on that score. But I'm just saying that in this instance, for us, it's not necessarily about the perfect player to make, you know, our squad amazing, because there's so much work to do on that squad that even if you ended up getting, say, your second choice for this position, and, you know, maybe even your third choice for that position, but then you got your first choices for the others, that would still be an improvement. The problem at Spurs is a cultural one, and one in which we seem to be the only football club that doesn't understand the truth of the matter, which is football is a game in which you spend money, right? If you don't spend money, you're going to go downwards, right?
Yeah.
This is what happened with Villa. Look at what happened to Villa, right? The reason the sort of rot with them started with that American chap, was it Randy Lerner or something like that, who took them over? And he didn't spend enough. And then just before the season started, he turned to Martin O'Neill and said, we're not going to be spending any money. And Martin O'Neill walked and Villa went down, right? Villa, Birmingham's club, the second city's club, one of the most storied clubs in English football history, were relegated.
Massive club in English football. Massive.
Yeah. Okay. Now, if you say that to a Spurs fan, and I would consider myself to probably say the same, we're too big to go down. But the way we're handled at the moment, I'm less sure of that than I was before. Right? And what is, unless we change the way that we operate, unless we start spending money and understand that that money is not there principally to be recouped at a later date, we are going to end up in worse trouble than we are now. That's my view. We've got to start. We've got to start having these signals that signal our intent. Go out. You know, that's why I think we should buy Vlahovic, not because it's Vlahovic, but because it's £70 million. Right? To say to the rest of the football world, we are now going to spend money.
Yeah, we're back on the map, innit? We're back spending big, but the thing is, the thing is, Wes, I hear all the talk about Levy out and Levy in, and which fence you which side of the fence you're on, and all that. To me personally, as I see it, as with Daniel Levy, he said that when we was at the old White Lane, we can't go ahead and compete with these big boys while we're still in the original White Lane. We need to move to a bigger ground. Then once we're in a bigger ground, and he said the money will be available. To me, I gave him the utmost respect for making that happen, the stadium, but he's gone against his promise of not spending, not backing these managers in this new. And he said that when we go into this new stadium, we will spend big.
It will be a game changer. Those are his words. Game changer,
right?
So has the game hasn't changed? Has it?
I don't know if you see it as Reds, because I was talking at work today about it, and me personally, we moved into the stadium around about the same time COVID hit. Now, could this have made a difference in the spending, or did we have money already in the pot before all this happened, when the stadium was ready to move into? And
what I find myself going over a lot of the time is my own, I readily admit, incomplete knowledge of football finance, but what I do know is different to what the perception is. The perception is still of that, boom, you got this big collection of money, you got a bank account with, you know, a number and then like 7 or 8 zeros after it, and that is what you're going to spend. And it's not the way it works. No business ever anywhere goes out and acquires an asset of tens of millions of pounds and pays that money in one lump. It's always over a payment period, right? So when you've got that thing where your assets are being paid for in increments, then your turnover, what the money that you're bringing in, your revenues will go against that, right? So this is your expenditure, of which your player purchases is an ongoing expenditure. It's not one-off against your ongoing income, right? So what that translates to is essentially your asset purchases become part of your costs, right? And this is your revenue. We've got revenues of a minimum, and this was before we went to we went from White Hart Lane, £300 million turnover, right? Every year, £300 million of revenue. Daniel Levy played a blinder because a lot of people, even those that were against him, used the phrase that he used, which was unrecoverable losses, right? All losses are unrecoverable. You've lost it, right? But because he used that lovely 3-4 syllable word, everyone thought, oh, wow, these are serious losses we've had, you know, they're unrecoverable, unlike those other losses that have all of a sudden recoverable losses, right? We have income, okay? And it's a big multi-million pound business. What, you think they only plan for the next 6 months? They've got a 1-year plan, a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, like all big businesses will have, right? And in the next 10 years, Spurs will generate £3 billion worth of revenue minimum, right? You're telling me we can't afford 200, 300 million pounds, and which won't even be a big lump sum. We can't afford 200-300 million pounds every few years for that. No, we can afford it.
Of course we can.
Right?
Absolutely.
We can afford it. The reason that Levy went to the Bahamas to try and raise equity is because he doesn't want to spend any of the turnover. And then that becomes the question of why.
That's it. That's it. Absolutely. I totally agree with your we saying there, Rez. Absolutely, some really good points. Richard says he's in for 2-2. Nippon, thanks for coming in, pal. Richard says, is there a winter break after the Chelsea game on Sunday?
I think it's international break.
It's international, isn't it? Yeah, it goes into international. Yeah. And Lightly 64 says yes. No international break. He says. I think. And Chelsea 11 points clear of us, with us having 5 games in hand. Yeah, this is the other thing, Rez.
Problem solved. We're going to win. We're going to win the league.
I think they're going to have a better squad than us, Rez. Yeah. They've got some really good players.
It's not a bad analysis.
That's not bad. That is not bad. One of those versus team playing well Brighton, a London derby where form goes out the window. It's gonna be a typical
from
game.
Our 5 games in hand.
Richard says when we survived relegation in the 90s, and that team had more leaders than the current squad. Yeah, absolutely. I'll keep going back to them times, Richard. Proper football.
Dark times for Spurs, and yet we had more character in the squad then than we do right now.
and that's worrying. Darren says, isn't that Spurs did with Tungi though, and spend
yes.
Spend to make a statement. It's important. It's the right player. It's got to be the right player.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We all thought Tungi was the right player though.
Well, do you know what? I think that was a situation in which it was a case of basically Poch all up to that summer. Everything that he was talking about was, I want out, right? Because remember, that was the season of the Champions League final as well, where he turned around and said, if we win, I'm going to... Well, he didn't say exactly, if we win, I will leave. He turned around and said, if we win, I might leave. He'd been talking about all of this. I'm moving closer to the exit door all this time, right? And I reckon that Levy basically said, well, the only way I'm going to be able to keep this guy with Man United, with Real Madrid sniffing around, is to get him the players that he wants.
Yeah.
And that's what he did, right? But it was one player. And this was a squad that had started to burn out. We knew that. That's the season before in the league was awful. Absolutely awful. We didn't, I think we didn't win a game after February or something like that, or something ridiculous like that. Or we only won a couple of games after February. And I think that it was basically what Levy does is that he does the bare minimum at the last possible moment. Right? Look at how he operates in the transfer window. It's always late. We're 18 days in. And we haven't even signed Traore, who's a £20 million purchase, apparently. And we also want to delay the payments of the Sorry, Si, I keep talking over you. Go ahead.
Oh, dear. Richard says, agreed, Liverpool seem to buy the perfect players every single time.
Because they've got a good scouting setup.
Right.
Because that's another thing that we've neglected. You know,
absolutely.
We've got Hitchens. Hitchens might have an idea as to who's a good player, but he's a yes man, right? He says, "How about this, Daniel?" Daniel says, "No, I want this player who costs this much," and he goes, "Yes, sir," right, and goes out and buys the one that's 8th on the list, like our manager, right?
That is true. That is true, Rez. Absolutely. Right, Hart Lane. Yes, pal. Thanks for coming in. How we're doing? Richard says, agree with Rez. If we keep this current squad for the next 2 seasons, we could go down. I'll tell you what, you could be right there, Rich.
The possibility always exists because we're not Man City.
Never say never.
We're not Man United. Yeah, exactly. Right. And absolutely. I don't want to doom monger, guys. I mean, a lot of people will turn around and say, well, you're just doom mongering. Now, it really isn't. I'm not saying we will. I'm not even saying it's likely. I'm just saying it's possible. And the thing to avoid it is good management, is good senior management, which at the moment, in my view, we don't have. Right. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it could if we keep being mismanaged. Sorry, go ahead.
Absolutely, mate. Jake says, yes, boys. Thanks for coming in. Richard says, what's your view on AFTVDT? Always knew he was a bully. You've seen it all over, guys. What's going on with this guy? Don't really want to talk about that, really. Not in my view to talk about that one. Simon says, one change we need to see if transfers being done early. The amount of points we might have won in August or January in his given season might have been a difference between. Yeah, absolutely. Always leave it late, and this is the problem. Every team goes out there before the transfer window opens. They know which players they're getting. They get them done early, and that can improve their squad. Go and get points on the balls. It is frustrating. It is frustrating what Simon's saying there. Something isn't right when Giovanni and Dos Santos probably did more in a Spurs shirt than Giovanni Lo Celso so far. Don't get me talking about that. Love that, Simon. If scouts, Darren said, if scouts did their job, and they would, Sitangi doesn't run.
Absolutely. No due diligence.
Exactly. I'd love to know who said to Daniel Levy about this guy. I really, seriously.
Do you know what the thing is that he'd done that? He'd gone through that already, because when he first started playing professionally, I might get the club names wrong, so apologies, but I think he started playing for Amiens, and he was lazy. And so think that they basically dropped him, and he had to drop down and play for a team called Guingamp, I think it is, who are like in the 400th tier of French football or something, right? And it was only then that he got that shock that he started applying himself a bit, and then worked his way back up and ended up at Lyon. But then it's, he came to Spurs, and it's almost like he thought, that was it. He's got it now. He's in an elite club, and so the Barcelonas and the Bayern Munichs and that lot, which is his ultimate destination, will eventually come calling. And it's like, no, sorry, Tongi, that's not how it works, right? These clubs, the best players are the ones that work hard. They might have natural talent as well, but you name me a lazy player who made it. There are very few of them. Very, very few of them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's frustrating, Rez, because the guy's got talent. We know what bags of talent the guy is. He just, if he gets that fitness right, if he turns into a player who wants to actually play and run with the ball and things like that, and fitness, and he could be a terrific player for Tottenham. I mean,
I don't even think, I don't even think it's fitness. It's not fitness, it's attitude. He's fitter than he's been since he came to Spurs. This is the fittest he's been. His application, when the reason that thing about when he was walking off the pitch against Chelsea, was it?
No, it was.
No, it wasn't. It was the other game. Oh crap! Anyway, when he was, it was Morecambe. When he was just trudging off the pitch, that demonstrates his problem.
Is his attitude and ego, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Simon says we have to keep an eye over our shoulder if Villa are doing business and building a proper side. Yeah, I totally agree. Their side. Lightning 64 says, "How's our French team doing?"
This is on the channel I'm on with Lighty, with Alan. We were talking about Steve Malbronk the other day.
Do you know what I did like Steve Malbronk. I think he was quite a good player for us. Hitchens reminds me of a side. Bob stepping on all those legs. That's him trying to get a deal done with Levy consistency.
You know what? Yeah, I can sort of see that, but it's almost like I would change it slightly in that he's a sideshow Bob that seems to enjoy having the rakes hit him in the face, because if anyone who didn't enjoy it would have walked by now, right? If he didn't like having to go to Levy and constantly be knocked back, he would have walked. I would have walked, right? If that was happening with my boss, right? Go and get another job, work for another club. He likes it.
But Rez, it wasn't Hitchin at Liverpool. He's when he spotted Suarez.
I think so, something like that. We've had people that have been competent at their job, and Levy has basically not shafted them personally, but has made it impossible for them to do their job effectively, and so we've had people walk.
Maybe we're giving Hitchin quite a bad naming. Maybe he has gone to Levy saying about some real big players, saying, these are the players I want. And he's probably said, no, go get the third or fourth ones on your list. I mean, but
you know what? This is the problem there is that if he accepts that, then this is the thing that I've heard about Levy. I don't know how true it is, but the idea is that he surrounds himself with yes men or yes people who will give him some information, but then will do exactly what he tells them, right? Without any kind of challenge. Even to the point that the youth coaches, from what I understand, are of that ilk. So the whole academy is like that. That, for me, does back up why Markanday has been sold to Blackburn, and we didn't manage to tie him down to a contract. But that's a different story. But when you've got no one who challenges you, you're never going to change, right? So no one has turned to Levy and said, do you know what, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chief Executive, I think that this thing that you do of waiting until the last minute to try and knock a few pounds off the price of a player that you happen to be agreeing to buy might not be good for the club. because there's no one to tell him that, he keeps doing it. And he doesn't listen to the fans because his Auntie Donna, his Auntie Donna holds us in such contempt and treats us so poorly. And she's the attitude that he has of us, right? The only way to actually make him listen is what happened at the Man United game, where for the first time in the stadium, the crowd turned on him.
And he knew then, resonant. He knew then. Time's up, and he has to not just another second-rate manager. He knew he had to do something special here to get the fans back on side. And but it's weird, Rez. He's bringing Conte, and he's still no sign of. It's just amazed me.
Because he's reactive. That's the thing with Lee. He's reactive. He doesn't think in outside of finance and all of that stuff. He doesn't think about, what the journey is supposed to go on. He thinks, oh well, I got them Conte. That's all that's needed. It's like, are you out of your tree? Yeah. You've just painted yourself into a corner, mate. Right? Because what you think you just bring him in and give him no signings and everything's hunky dory? No.
I mean, he's probably just thinking Conte can come in. He's that good of a manager. He can turn his lot into flipping world beaters. I mean, it's like, and I think he done the same with Jose.
He did the same with Mourinho. Yeah,
absolutely. And Darren's saying here, how many signings do you think Conte wants to stop him walking in the summer?
Minimum 6.
Absolutely, I totally agree with Rez. It's going to be minimum. Yeah, absolutely. Cole says, evening. How's it going, Cole? Thanks for coming in, pal. Some says Hitchin does look like a bit of what's that say?
Masochist.
To be fair,
someone who enjoys pain.
What's that, Rez?
Someone who enjoys pain.
Oh right. I get you now, so I get you now. Well, he does in some of the photos. I see, trust me, that guy. He said, "I hate it." Sounded rather sick. Absolutely. Darren says Hitchin should put his first choice as fourth choice.
Yeah, that's right.
TV approved. That is true. Absolutely. Brilliant. That is a good way, Darren. Do you know what I mean? That is a good way. If Hitchin's watching.
That's what you need to do, Steve. That's what you need to do.
Darren relishes the rejection, though. Heavy breathing at the prospect of being told. Oh, dear. He's
brilliant.
Oh. And Right Heart Lane, first time here, Simon. Thanks for coming in, pal. I've seen you on a few channels. I watched you on Tantrum Gold as well the other day. And yeah, thanks for coming in, matey. So Reds, thanks for coming on, pal.
Pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you on. Absolutely pleasure to have you on. And Reds, can let you just tell everyone where they can find you, where they can see you on more channels. And
yeah, I'm sort of the media whore of our little sort of family, so you can usually find me somewhere. But my regular spot is with Shelfside Spurs, with the marvelous Johnny Einstein and the equally marvelous Jens, Nick, Gav, Gaz, and Kev, and occasionally Alan, who's on Lighty 64 in there. So we do Thursdays, usually, sometimes Fridays, at around 7:30. We're going to be doing some interesting things, hopefully, in the next few weeks, but it's usually a bit anarchic, a bit eclectic. We just talk about all sorts of random stuff. So we ended up talking about whale semen recently. Well, that was less recently. We ended up talking about normal human semen, the last one. Don't let that turn you off. Do please come and visit. And plus, like and subscribe. And obviously like and subscribe to Simon's channel as well. It's a lot of fun. And that would be appreciated. So yeah, come visit. And if you want to see some of my ramblings, you can always follow me on Twitter at @bat_spur.
Absolutely, guys. So get over Rez and Shelf Side as well. I've watched that many times with Johnny Ice. I've had John on there as well. He's great, John. Absolutely fantastic.
Excellent.
Fantastic guys over there, guys. Get over to watch it. Some really good guys over there. And you see Rez as well. Rez is everywhere, every channel. Every time I turn on YouTube, Rez is there.
He is, yes.
Whatever. He's there.
The Rez tube.
Absolutely. Got some comments going out here. Right Heart Lane says, no worries, man. Jake says, boys, will Liverpool beat Arsenal on Thursday? Hope so. Yes. Please just go and give them a battering. Please, yeah. Jake. Absolutely. And we've got Nero 1972. Breaking news, Leverley has offered up a monster early for Adama. Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah. And then what will happen is that Wolves will accept that bid, and then just at the last minute, he'll take away the Monster Munch.
He said, I'm having him, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And 1964, Steve.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, guys, thank you very much for coming in. And subscribe to the channel. Smash the like, guys, going out. And make sure, guys, as Red said there, go over to Shelf Side. Absolutely fantastic channel with these guys here. I've been Premier Hotspur TV, guys. I've been Simon. This has been Reds. And let's hope the game goes ahead tomorrow. I don't want another postponement. We've got too many games to catch up on here. And let's hope Tottenham turn up tomorrow. I think they will do. So good night, guys. Thanks for coming in, and believe you this, guys. Good night, guys. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thanks a lot, Si. Take care.
Cheers, Ed.